Hey, these are the tank sets I think every sweaty tank should have for in-game ESO in organized trials. I'm not ranking these, I'm just going through the stuff that I'd want in my bag if I was tanking in sweaty groups. Some of these are pretty normal in-game tank sets. Some are things a DD would usually wear, but a tank might carry in the right group. Some are for trash, some are more score push tools, and some will absolutely get you sauced if you throw them on in a pug without knowing what your group is doing. The more serious you get about tanking, the more your gear starts to look like a garage full of random tools. You start carrying sets for specific boss fights, for trash pulls, for specific trash pulls, for burn windows, for group damage, for safety, for alt economy, to make sure the DDs have alt right before bosses, for weird score push niche things. That's what this video is about. I'm going to start with the main 5-piece sets. Then after that, I'll hit the extra tools like monster sets, mythics, and arena weapons. But first, a quick farming rule before we get into anything. If it's a light or medium armor set, tanks usually want weapons and jewelry. If it's a heavy armor set, you usually want all the pieces just to be able to work in different sets with other different sets. That's not a perfect rule, but it's a really good starting point. Okay, first up, Pearlescent Ward. This is a heavy armor set from Dreadsail Reef, and you're going to want all the pieces: sword and shield, ice staff, lightning staff, body pieces, jewelry. Pearlescent is one of the easiest tank sets to recommend because it gives the group value in 2 different ways. Basically, the more teammates in your group that are alive, the more weapon and spell damage it gives to the whole group, and then the more players that are dead, the more damage reduction it gets. That makes it really easy to fit into organized groups. If you're trying to tank harder content, this is one of the first serious tank sets I would want available. Next is Lucent Echoes. This is also a heavy armor set. This one's from Lucent Citadel. I'd also want all the pieces of this. Lucent gives your group more crit damage, and also now Nightblades can do even more crit damage than the 125% damage cap. You also have to be a little careful with this with your comp because you can have too much crit damage in a group, especially if you're running major and minor brittle and things like that. Next up is Powerful Assault. This is a medium armor set that you can get from Telvar in Imperial City. This is one I would usually want on weapons and jewelry, but I have ran this on body on a tank setup before. Powerful Assault gives your group weapon and spell damage when you use an assault skill like Vigor or Warhorn or those kind of things. It's been good forever and it's still good. The annoying part is hitting all 12 people in a trial. Sometimes you have to proc Vigor twice in order to get it to stick onto all 12 people. But as a tank, I still think it's definitely worth it. It's a flat group damage buff. It's always useful. Next is Glacial Guardian. This is a heavy armor set from Corollary. This one's a little more specific, but it's interesting right now. And when you block, you tether an enemy if they're close enough. And while they're tethered, you'll deal frost damage every second. And enemies touching the tether have increased status effect chance. And that matters a lot more right now because status effects are doing a ton, especially with Signet also buffing status effect. So if you have a bunch of Signet builds in your group, Glacial Guardian is going to be really, really strong. This is definitely not something for every group because it's going to depend on your status effect setups and how many DDs in your group are running Signet. But if you got a lot, it's going to be super good. And then next we got Turning Tide from Shipwright's Regret. This is a heavy armor set. This has been a tank staple for a while. Turning Tide gives major vuln in an area in front of you, and that's why it's incredibly useful. If enemies are stacked, Turning Tide can hit multiples of them, and major vuln is such a strong damage debuff, or buff really. It's just so worth it to run this in AoE fights. So it's great in boss fights with adds. It can be great in AoE burn situations. I use this in trash in my 4-man group because I want major vuln on everything. Next is Morg Tongue. Morg Tongue is a medium armor set from Cyrodiil. Usually I would want weapons and jewelry with this. This set makes enemies take more poison and disease damage, and this patch that can be super strong because Nightblades and Necros can bring a lot of poison and disease damage. So if your group is built around Necros and Nightblades, Morg Tongue is incredible. But tanking in Morg Tongue is a pretty baller move and it can be tough because it's hard to keep up, and since it's medium armor, bodying it can make you pretty squishy. This is one of those sets where you really need to know why you're wearing it. Don't just throw this on in a pug and expect to feel good, but with the right group, if someone needs to carry Morg Tongue, it can make sense on the tank if you really want to push that damage. Then next up is Zen's Redress. It's very similar to Morg Tongue, where this is a light armor set. This is from Lair of Marsalok, and usually tanks would want weapons or jewelry if they're messing with this. Realistically, this is more often a support DPS set, but tanks should still understand it, and sometimes they get comped with it. because it's such a huge damage increase. So Zen increases damage taken when you keep up enough damage over time effects on enemies. So the value heavily depends on uptime. The person wearing it needs to have enough sticky dots to keep it working, and the group damage just needs to be high enough for the set to even be worth slotting. DK and Warden are some of the easier classes to run this on, because they both have so many sticky dots. So I don't think this is a normal tank set, but if you're getting into really sweaty comps, you should know what it does, why groups care about it, and also be able to run it in certain situations. Next is War Machine. War Machine is a medium armor set from Halls of Fabrication. Usually tanks want weapons and jewelry, and when I run this, I typically only run it on the back bar. War Machine gives Major Slayer when you use an ultimate. Right now I'm really seeing this more on one healer and one DD in most comps, but tanks have historically ran this push damage. You're going to want 2 Major Slayer sets in your group because these only give it to 6 people in your group. So you need 2 of them, and you need 2 different stacks, so you make sure that certain people are in each stack and get the Major Slayer buff. So if the group isn't planning around that and doesn't have Slayer stacks, then definitely don't run War Machine. This is one of those sets that really needs planning and an optimized setup in order to be worth it. The next up, we got Zorn's Masterpiece. It's a light armor set from Lucent Citadel, so then usually tanks will want weapons and jewelry. This is more of a group sustain and utility set. It raises your group's max magicka and max stamina, which is a damage increase because there's a lot of skills that tooltip off of your max stats. I've seen a lot of groups running this in trash or in specific setups where the group just needs more resources, or it's really an option when there's nothing else really helpful to run, because this is helpful overall. It's not one of those really imperative must-run sets though. Now let's get into the extra tools. These are monster sets, mythics, and arena weapons. So they're not exactly in the same category as all the other sets, but sweaty tanks should definitely have them ready. First up is Crypt Cannon Vestments. This is a mythic light chest from the Antiquities. This is very much an organized group tool. Crypt Cannon helps transfer your ultimate to the group instead of you using an ultimate. So if your group is trying to have the right amount of alts or the right amount of Slayer alts or things like that for every burn, Crypt Cannon can be really amazing, especially now with certain tank classes being able to gen ultimate so fast that you could set up a tank in such a way where they're generating so much ultimate for the group. It's just really crazy. So if your group is not coordinating burns or using Slayers or Pillagers or those kind of things, Crypt Cannon starts to really not be worth it. It's also a light chest piece, so it makes you a lot more squishy because you lose a lot of resistance. But if your group wants ult back fast, Crypt Cannon helps do that. Next is Baron Zadras. I don't exactly know how to say that. Zadras, I just call it BZ. This monster set is from the Cauldron. It's for ultimate gen. This basically gives you more ultimate, so it also pairs really well with Crypt Cannon to give your group back more ultimate. Or if you have Slayer and you need to get your Slayer ult back fast, then this is great too. Or if you're a DK running Standard of Might and you just want to be able to drop a ton of those, it could work with that as well. So yeah, just more ult from Baron. Next is Archdruid. This is a monster set from Earthen Root Enclave. This is a single target major vuln set. When you heavy attack something, it procs major vuln. So this is really great at single target fights, good for boss burning or priority target burns. So Turning Tide is still way better for AoE situations, but Archdruid is great for that single target stuff. So the fight will definitely dictate which one you use. Yeah. The next is just kind of a quick mention. This is a monster set from Dreadseller Magma Incarnate, but I'm not really talking about the 2-piece here. I'm really just talking about the 1-piece. This is a special one because it gives magic recuv and stam recuv. So when you're running a mythic and you can't run a monster set, this becomes really great. So like in my 4-man setup, I run this with Spalder's Ruin, or you could run this with Crypt Cannon, or any of the mythics where you can't be running a monster set any longer. This is the 1-piece I would look for. Next up is Nazare. This is a monster set from Shipwright's Regret. This extends debuffs. That includes Major Vuln and things like that. So this is really, really strong. You definitely have to play around with the timing on this, and your raid lead probably needs to be really good at being able to call out when to do Slayer alts, then when to do Pillagers, when to extend the major vuln stuff, those kind of things. So there's a lot that goes into this in the timing of all those ultimates. So don't just slap this on and start spraying away your ultimate because it won't be super effective. But yeah, it's still a really great set if used the right way. Next up is Tremor Scale. This is a monster set from Valenfell. This This gives penetration, which is really needed right now with pure classing. So if the group needs more pen, this is a great option to run because it reduces their armor just by a little bit. And it's nice because it's a armor reduction in an AoE area, which is good for bosses with ads around them. So something like Bosse, when you're stacking A-bombs or things like that, tremor scale could be really good. But again, you only need it if your group needs the pen. So if you're running a full team of Arcanists, then this would be a huge waste. Next is Spalder of Ruin. This is a mythic shoulder from the Antiquities. This gives group damage, but at a sustain cost. So that's why I like to pair it with Magma Incarnate, because that gives you sustain back. But if you can handle the sustain hit, it's really strong because it gives 260 weapon and spell damage to your team in an area around you. So if the person wearing it can handle the sustain hit, Spalder is really strong. If they can't, it feels awful. Next is Ring of the Wild Hunt. This is a mythic ring from the Antiquities. This is just a speed tool, purely speed, mostly for trash or score pushing or leapfrogging ad packs to do it extra fast, things like that, or extra fast positioning, or if you need to get from one place to the other fast, this is the way to go. This in no way makes you tankier or buffs the group. This is just to make you go fast. So sometimes in organized groups, speed really does matter. So getting to the next pull faster could matter, or getting in position faster could matter for that just extra little bit of score. Then the last tool I'm going to talk about is Void Bash. This is the Vadashran Sword and Shield from Vadashran Hollows. This is for pulling and grouping enemies. It's super useful in trash. One of my favorite tools to use on tank. Clean grouping really matters, so grouping them in with this Void Bash and then spraying Turning Tide, Major Vuln on them really just makes sense for a lot of stuff. So if you have room to use it and to slot the bash skill, then it's worth running. But again, this is only for very specific situations where you need to pull in all these ads very quickly. So yeah, that's all of them. Again, I'm not ranking these. These weren't in priority order at all. They all have different use cases for various different things. These are things that I would expect every really good tank in endgame ESO to have. So the more serious you get about tanking, the more your job becomes just having the right tool ready and knowing how to use it. So again, thanks so much for watching. Hope this helps. Catch you on the next one. Peace.